Way Back Love is a smartly written golden gem that could well go down as one of this year's best Korean dramas. This is a show that absolutely understands grief and understands exactly what it does to different people. Now, grief can affect all of us differently. For some, vices like drugs and alcohol, or reckless behaviour like gambling, driving too fast, or any other means of pleasure feel like a safety blanket. Others still are quiet. They seem to be processing it well while carrying a raging maelstrom of emotion inside. Finally, there are others who seem normal, drifting through life with a deep apathy that causes the world around them to grey. On the outside, they seem fine, but inside, nothing is. Nothing's enjoyable because there's a black hole in their heart, one that only seems to widen the more time passes. And for those people, the allure of suicide becomes ever more desirable. This ties directly into the story of Way Back Love, which, at its core, explores this very notion of grief. Our protagonist is Jung Hee-wan, a 24-year-old woman who has lost the will to live. She's a recluse, her apartment is in a depressing state, and she can barely make it through the day without collapsing on the wooden floor, cradling her grief like a small child. The reason for this, though, stems from something that happened in her past involving her best friend Ram-woo. One day he shows up at her door, which is kind of impossible. Why? Well, he died 4 years ago. Yep, it turns out he's a Grim Reaper, and he delivers the surprising news that Hee-won is due to die in a week's time. This sets up the basic premise of the show as Ram-woo sets out to try and help Hee-won live, or at least find the will to, before she passes away. In doing so, Ram-woo helps her craft a bucket list to complete in the hopes that this will at least give her something memorable to take to the afterlife with her. Along the way, the show jumps back and forth between the past and present, fleshing out more of what's happened between these two and why Hee-won is the way that she is. This sets up a really nice balance between the lighter, fluffier flashbacks, complete with bright colours, pastel shades and a bouncy upbeat soundtrack, and these then contrast beautifully against the darker, gloomier present, and it helps that Kim Min-ah slides into both versions of Hee-won to perfection. These lighter moments have just the right amount of comedy to relieve some of the darker and more somber scenes. There are some genuinely heart-wrenching moments here too, especially as you come to understand what led to Ram-woo's death and why Hee-won feels so responsible. Episode 4 in particular is one of the best chapters in the whole show, and given the series only runs for 6 episodes, it's pretty impressive that the show has as much impact as it does. Grief is very much the central topic here, but through Hee-won and a host of supporting characters, the earlier sentiment about seeing how different people deal with their grief and depression is explored in a lot more detail. Ram-woo's best friend Hong-suk, Ram-woo's mum, and even Hee-won's new friend at university, Yong-hyun, have their own demons, and as Hee-won grows, so too does our understanding of how others have been affected by this tragedy. The message in place is never overpowering, nor does it detract from the overall story, which is poignant and on point across its 6 episodes. All of this is helped by the fact the series has a solid ending, with a beautiful message that feels like the perfect cherry atop this deliciously Moorish cake. The soundtrack is outstanding too, and props to Kim Tae-rae's If You for a tune that perfectly encapsulates the feel of this drama. While not the same, it did remind me a little bit, playing as the show's anthem, in the same way that the bittersweet melody of Jorim's track did in the latter half of 25-21. And no, I can't play either of them within this review, otherwise I might end up with a copyright strike. But you can find both tracks on Spotify, and I highly recommend you do because both of them are outstanding. Anyway, I digress. Ultimately, Way Back Love is a really solid series. It's a beautifully written ode to grief and a mature way of understanding this complex emotion that never feels like rehashing the usual K-drama tropes you see in many offerings like this. Don't let the short runtime put you off. Way Back Love packs one heck of an emotional punch, one that will stay with you long after the final credits roll. Thanks for watching, and do let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like or subscribe to the channel, your support is very much appreciated. I'm Greg Wheeler, and from all of us over here at The Review Geek, we'll see you on the next video.